From iron cometh strength. From strength cometh will. From will cometh faith. From faith cometh honor. From honor cometh iron. And now the world will know my pain.
Gabriel's day started like any other. He woke in his dimly lit unit, washed and readied for work in his cramped hygiene chamber, traveled the dense, overpopulated streets of Hive Sarkophia's lower levels, struggled to even breathe on board the train that delivered him to his manufactorum. And from there, the day proceeded as normal. But it was on his way home that his life would take a turn for the worse. A turn like no other. A simple mistake that would ultimately plunge him into the very bowels of hell itself. For after another grueling 16-hour shift at the manufactorum, and with a gentle rocking and monotonous background noise of the interlink train, he had fallen asleep. Gabriel woke as the train departed for Hab Zone 17, one of the earliest, darkest, and most run-down areas of the lower levels.
Where am I?
His eyes would not focus. His mind circled from left to right with sickening speed.
Where am I?
He felt groggy, dizzy, uneasy. He didn't know where he was. He didn't remember leaving the train. He couldn't even feel his legs. And then the sudden realization dawned upon him that he wasn't even walking. Who were these people helping him? Two pale-skinned men, one under each arm. They dragged him down, deeper into the underhive. This was not his Hab zone. This place he did not recognize. They were not helping him. They were abducting him. Where were they taking him? Why were they taking him? His mind raced as he slipped in and out of consciousness. All he knew is that he was heading down, further down, darker and darker, beneath the great tunnels that catacomb the Hive's foundations, and into the underhive, into the slums that were inhabited by the lowest of the low. Violent gangs and vicious mutants, those that dwell in the darkness, those who had never seen the light of day. Through the dark corridors they walked. The thick scent of rust, grime, and filth filled his senses. A twang of copper and iron began to rise with a pungent stink of stale blood. The sound of metal rang in his ears. He was coming to now. Pain surged through his limbs as chains pulled his body against a cold rock-creed wall. His wrists and ankles burned with agony. Slowly his vision began to focus. He could make out an emblem drawn on the wall. It was the Star of Chaos, painted in blood. The smell of rotting flesh and sewage instantly forced a reflex action in his stomach, his throat threatening to erupt with what little contents it contained. He saw other men and women chained up like he was, most of them writhing in pain from gruesome injuries sustained who knows how. The lucky ones, they were already dead, hanging limply away from the walls. Further into the darkness he could make out some activity. Fighting, maybe. In his peripheral, the sounds of flesh against flesh, skin being torn apart, and bones being fractured and broken. The sounds of screams and torment, agony and suffering. Others walked freely, those with twisted smiles carved into their demented faces, like those who had taken him from the train. These men were clad in rudimentary metal garments that looked neither fashionable nor comfortable. The plain metal glimmered every now and then, reflecting what little light penetrated this far down. A dull orange glow that seeped through the large and slow-moving ventilation fans. In the right light, Gabriel noticed that these plates of armor had badly painted yellow and black stripes running diagonally across them. His vision caught sight of a large, disgusting-looking man walking towards him, and his heart sank as he cast his eyes upon the monstrous figure before him.
What do you want from me?
The man, known as Cleaver, said nothing. He simply walked past Gabriel to a man that had been turned upside down, the veins in his throat pulsing purple from the blood flow. Cleaver brandished a large axe in one hand and an old combat blade in the other as he slowly cut the throat of the already dying man. He gazed at the blood, almost in a trance-like state, as it sprayed and flowed freely along the ground before holding his hands out and collecting the red liquid in a dirty, broken bowl. When the blood stopped flowing, Cleaver rose tall, dipped his hands in the bowl, and washed the blood over his face before turning back to Gabriel. He stood so close that Gabriel could feel the warmth of the man's putrid breath that contained the vile taint of rotting flesh. Cleaver examined his new offering for some time before speaking.
Your blood, your pain, your anguish. That is what I want from you.
Why? Why me?
To feed them. To please the gods of ruin and iron.
Cleaver turned and lifted the knife and axe high above his head. He began to rhythmically smash them together as his followers gathered around.
From iron cometh strength. From strength cometh will. From will cometh faith. From faith cometh honor. From honor cometh iron.
Now he turned to face Gabriel as his weapons fell down to his sides once more.
And now the world will know my pain.
Gabriel's heart raced with tremendous speed. His head lightened. His body fell weak and limp as a black vignette clouded his vision, and he eventually lost consciousness again. Gabriel awoke to fresh meat being brought to the slaughter. Men dragged across the cold floor, their skin shedding from the littered shards of broken glass and bone. He watched in horror as they were chained and slung to the walls. Some of the victims, already covered in seeping lacerations, had their bodily discharge quickened. These were the ones that were rotated upside down, their throats sliced open, their blood collected in bowls that were taken out of sight. He saw Cleaver lick the blade of his knife.
Oh, blood tastes sweeter than anger.
Gabriel lost control. He began to sob loudly. The pain seared through him. All hope was lost here. There was no one saving him from this hell. Cleaver noticed Gabriel's desperate pleas and approached him once more. Gabriel lifted his head. He noticed behind his captor a man being dragged. But this man was different, larger somehow, bigger than most, an ogren possibly. Cleaver followed his eyeline.
Oh yes, that's a big one, huh? Took a lot of effort to get that one down here. He's heavily drugged, obviously.
Why? Why are you doing this? Why are you doing this?
Haven't we covered this already? It's not personal. We take anyone we can find. Anyone that's easy to take without much alarm or cause for concern.
What do you want with us? Please, just let me go. Please.
Oh, this is not for me. Well, not really.
Please, just let me go. Please.
No, you see, this is for the greater powers, for chaos in its entirety.
Chaos? What do you mean? What chaos? I don't understand.
It is inevitable, you see. They will reign supreme one day. They will come for us all, and they will consume everything.
Who will? Do you wish to be possessed by heresy?
I want to become them. I want to become Iron.
I don't understand.
Over Cleaver's shoulder, Gabriel noticed the Ogren shaking his head, slowly coming to.
Tell me, do you know the Iron Warriors are?
No.
The larger-than-life man began to undo Gabriel's chains and restraints. He seemed to be taking pleasure in this back and forth. But then again, not many others had the pleasure of talking before meeting their end.
I have seen them once, on another world far from here. They destroyed everything in their path. We were lucky to escape that day, but I saw something in them, a purity. I want to be just like them. And they will come for me. They will come for me, they will. Because I will please the Chaos Gods with this lust for violence and agony. And they in turn will send me my saviors. My saviors.
You're insane. You're a monster.
Yes, of course I am. But the greatest monster of all is man.
Gabriel continued to sob as Cleaver eyed him up and down.
Don't cry, little man. Do you want to go to hell with me?
With the metallic click of the last opened latch, Cleaver set Gabriel free, but made sure to grab his arm. Gabriel instinctively attempted to break free, but the man that held him was incredibly strong.
No, don't try to run, little boy. You won't get very far.
Submitting now, he allowed himself to be dragged along the dark corridor that had been his prison. He let his head hang low, not wanting to see the horrors around him, but still the horror remained below, for the path they followed was a wide trail of blood. Specks of white bone and torn flesh littered the trail every now and then. They rounded a corner into a large chamber. The warmth of this place took what little breath he had left. The humidity was extremely close. The stench was one of rot and death.
Welcome to the pit.
Gabriel reluctantly lifted his head. The room was large. More ventilation fans lined the walls in here, but their output was questionable at best. A large circular pit took center stage of this chamber, but the contents he could not see. It was too dark, too deep. He noticed a row of dripping metal hooks on the far wall. each adorned with a freshly severed limb. No doubt they would provide food for these savages later. A man whimpered close by. He was strapped to a wooden plank that slightly leaned over the pit. Metal hooks pierced through his eyelids and drew them back to witness the ever-replenished horror. Metal-clad cultists dragged carcasses along the floor and flung them into the pit. A deep, thick squelch followed as they landed in something. Flies buzzed around the chamber and clung to torn and diseased flesh wounds.
You may have seen the dead being dragged into this pit. You must be feverish with curiosity. Let me show you its contents.
Cleaver grabbed the back of Gabriel's neck, pushed him forward, and then held him down over the side of the gaping pit. Gabriel retched, horrified and sickened by the sheer volume of blood it contained.
How many? How many?
Oh, lots. Lots and lots. And when it is full, they will surely come. Not even a god could refuse such an offering. We will summon the Iron Warriors. You will see. You will see it with your own eyes.
Cleaver looked down to an abandoned corpse that lay on the floor beside them.
Oh, look. We could use this man. He is of no use to us anymore, is he?
In one motion, he bent down, rammed his thumbs into the dead man's skull, and gouged out the pale eyes within. Now he rose and held them out in front of his own.
Yes, I can see. I can see via the warp's power. The gods will use me as their eyes.
You're a madman! A madman!
Gabriel began to back away as he noticed the Ogren slowly rising to his feet, his fists clenched, his mind confused and angered. Cleaver stood tall as he threw away the bloodied eyeballs.
Yes, a madman indeed.
He pulled a huge combat knife from his belt, its blade rusted and bloodstained.
I have sold my soul to the ruinous powers, but you will not have to suffer my madness much longer.
Behind them now, the Ogren raged, his confusion manifesting into furious violence. Several cultists attempted to subdue him, but their efforts were futile, their aim never quite steady. The Ogren crashed through men like wind through leaves, sending them flying into the walls. Some landed and drowned in the seemingly bottomless pit, their gaping mouths gurgling with a thick red blood. Cleaver sighed as he turned and rushed to their aid. Quickly he made his way to the calmer sedatives and loaded them into their projectile casings. In an instant, Gabriel realized he had free will of his body. No one was looking at him. Everyone was preoccupied. Suddenly, adrenaline began to flow. His body came alive once more. He turned and ran down the corridor, into the darkness, away from this hell. Somehow, by the luck of the Emperor, he managed to depart the underhive and reach the lower levels. Still running, still panting wildly, he plowed into civilians, barging through them with tunnel vision. And at the end of that tunnel, was the closest Vox booth. He crashed into the booth with tremendous speed, but he felt no pain, only duty. Duty to the Imperium, duty to the city, duty to himself, as he called the local RBT station. In a frenzy, he had informed them of the cult. He had escaped them. He was finally free. And in response, he was told to wait exactly where he was. Within the hour, the arbitrators arrived. 2 of them stayed back while their superior stepped forward to the still manic-looking Gabriel.
You called us?
Yes, I did. You need to...
The cultists, where are they?
Down there, in the underhive. I escaped them. I left them. I...
Take us there.
Oh no, I couldn't possibly. I need to.
The arbitrator held up his weapon and pointed it toward Gabriel's forehead.
It is not a request. Take us there now.
And so once more, Gabriel descended into the darkest depths of the underhive. But this time the judgment would be simple. This time the judgment would be final. This time he had the might of the Adeptus Arbites. The metal door to the hidden cult chamber flew open with a bang, and the arbitrators penetrated the room with speed and precision. Their combat shotguns taking ranged enemies down with ease, their shock maws pummeling those close by down to the ground with electric fury sparkling in the dark. Gabriel stepped forward as the room cleared. He noticed the Ogren, now a bloody pulpy mess on the floor. And then he noticed Cleaver. The arbitrator took note on how Gabriel gasped and stepped backward, how Cleaver smiled with enthusiasm as he laid his eyes upon Gabriel once more. Cleaver rushed for them all, his axe and combat knife held high, glimmering in the fire of the shotgun rounds that pummeled into his body, but still he ran towards them. Finally, the arbitrator lifted his shotgun to head height and waited for the frenzied Cleaver to reach within inches of the barrel before he pulled the trigger, and Cleaver was no more. Gabriel sank to his knees as some form of relief flooded over him. Relief that these people were dead, that he won't need to fear them anymore, that he can return to his dull, normal life. But in the silence that followed, the arbitrator turned to face him last, for in Gabriel's haste to inform the authorities, he did not mention that he was taken prisoner and held by cultists. No, he had simply told them that he had left them. And all they could see was a man on his knees, wearing an old, bloodied and torn Manufactorum uniform. He looked gaunt, pale, sick, tainted. And they assumed, as most would, that he had just wanted to leave his demented cult. The arbitrator lifted his shotgun to Gabriel's head once more.
No.
A traitor to your cult. A heretic to us all.
No.